Hi, I'm Michelle Berg, Deputy General Secretary of Rotary International.
And I'm David Stovall, Treasurer of Rotary International and a member of the Board of Directors. Today, Michelle and I are here to share with you the 5-year forecast.
Thanks, David. The first year of the 5-year forecast was fiscal year 2018-19, which ended on 30 June. The second year of the forecast is the 2019-20 budget that the Board of Directors approved in June. And finally, there are the financial projections that begin with 2020-21 and run through 2023-24. So let's start at the beginning with 2018-19 and talk about where Rotary gets its money. Rotary has 3 main revenue streams: membership dues, net investment return, and services and other activities. In 2019, revenue from dues was lower because we had fewer members than anticipated. In addition, we received lower net returns on our investments. On the other hand, revenue from services and other activities was more than what was budgeted due to higher than expected attendance at the International Convention in Hamburg, Germany. Overall, though, revenues for 2019 were slightly lower than budgeted.
Although revenue was unfavorable, expenses were lower than budget. Rotary has 3 main categories of expenses: operating expenses, expenses from services and other activities, and strategic spending. In 2019, total expenses were lower than expected because we delayed or eliminated certain activities. Also, we controlled our expenses carefully. Even though Rotary International faced some revenue challenges, we still generated an increase in net assets. These assets are carefully stewarded and play a critical role in strategic investment.
Exactly. Those investments include infrastructure, technology, and programs that better meet the needs of our members. One example, our new learning management system. It provides training materials that help Rotarians learn new skills and become more successful at what they do.
Rotary also invested in enhancing the Brand Center, which members use to create marketing materials that show the world how Rotarians are people of action.
We've also begun to invest in large projects that will have a longer-term impact. We're making changes at My Rotary, changes that you have requested to increase accessibility and improve navigation. We're updating our financial management system to link our offices across the globe and ensure that our financial reporting is timely, complete, and flexible.
And finally, we are beginning a 3-year review of all business processes and activities to increase efficiency, reduce expenses, and provide better service to our members. The investments we have made this past year have positioned us well for 2019-20 and beyond.
As we mentioned, in June, the Board of Directors approved the 2019-20 budget. It includes $112 million in revenue and $110 million in expenses, resulting in a financial surplus of $2 million.
Now, let's take a look at the $112 million in revenue. Our most important source of revenue, about 70%, comes from our members. In 2019-20, each Rotarian will pay $68 in membership dues, totaling $82 million in revenue.
Then there's net investment income, which is generated from Rotary's investments. Net investment return is budgeted to be at $4 million.
And finally, we project $26 million in revenues from services and other activities. These include things like convention registration fees, rental receipts from one Rotary Center, and licensing of the Rotary marks.
Now we'll look at the $110 million in expenses. Operating expenses are budgeted at $86 million. These will fund the services and resources that support Rotarians, clubs, and districts.
There are also $22 million in expenses associated with the services and other activities. These expenses mostly offset the $26 million in revenue I mentioned earlier.
And finally, there's $2 million of strategic spending. These are funds the Board of Directors has approved to support strategic initiatives. These include spending from the Convention Reserve to fund audiovisual enhancements at the International Convention in Honolulu, Hawaii.
2019-20 is the first year of our new strategic plan. In an effort to grow Rotary, we will invest in offering new paths to membership, like piloting a non-club-based membership model and investigating ways to make Rotaractors a more vital part of the Rotary family. In fact, we think Rotaract is so important to the future of Rotary that President Mark has formed a task force to ensure we successfully promote opportunities for Rotaractors.
That's exactly right. Now let's take a look at the key assumptions that drive the 5-year forecast.
The most important assumption is the number of dues-paying members. Membership has remained at around 1.2 million members for the last 10 years. While we've invested in activities to increase membership, we still struggle with membership retention. Our financial projections do not anticipate a large growth in membership over the next 5 years. The forecast does include the final $4 membership dues increase for 2019-20 and the $1 dues increase for each of the following 3 years. There are no dues increases assumed for the final year of the 5-year forecast. Such an increase, if proposed, would need to be approved by the 2022 Council on Legislation. Now, it's important to note that the $1 membership dues increase is less than 2% of current dues and inflation. Such a modest increase in membership dues will make it challenging to deliver the products, the tools, and the services Rotarians want. Meeting members' growing needs will require careful prioritization of our spending.
The second assumption is related to net investment return, which is assumed to be 3.75% on average over the forecast period. Rotary has taken steps to minimize the impact of uncertain economic markets by investing more conservatively. However, no matter what Rotary does, world events will impact the portfolio return. In any case, less than 3.5% of Rotary's revenue is reliant on net investment returns.
Now let's talk about the impact of inflation. This is a key risk to achieving our forecast results. Inflation has been relatively stable between 2 and 3% per year, depending on the type of expense and where it is incurred. For the 5-year forecast, we're assuming an inflation rate of 3%. However, to offset the impact of inflation, we're also budgeting savings through expense reduction initiatives, resulting in a net of 2.4%.
The 5-year forecast also includes continued investment in services, technology, and infrastructure. However, we are projected to decrease strategic spending over the next 5 years. With lower revenue increases, we will not be able to afford significant investments on an annual basis. Capital spending in 2019-20 is budgeted to be just over $15 million for major pre-planned investments, but then declines to $8 million for the remainder of the forecast period.
So, putting all the assumptions together, let's look at the 5-year forecast. On the left is the surplus or deficit that is generated each year. The green bars show when revenues are higher than expenses, and the red bars show when expenses are higher than revenues. With only a $1 dues increase beginning in 2020-21, we begin to face some funding challenges starting in 2022. Our bylaws require a balanced budget each year. To make this happen, we will need to make tough decisions and prioritize our spending over the next 5 years.
That's right. And now on the right is the impact of the forecast of the newly named RI Reserve. At the 2019 Council on Legislation, the delegates approved a change to the term General Surplus Fund. This term was misleading as not all of the funds were surplus. Delegates approved renaming the fund to RI Reserve to reflect the target amount of funds that should be held on hand in case of an emergency. The RI Reserve is now approved annually as part of the budget process. It no longer includes daily operating cash or deferred revenues, and we no longer need 2 different target reserve levels.
Meeting our target, which is shown in purple, ensures Rotary has assets set aside for unexpected circumstances, Michelle. You can see that we are below the target in fiscal year 2021. RI will have to take action to balance the budget, improve our efficiency, drive down expenses, and meet our target over the forecast period. It will be a challenge and may require modifying products, services, or strategic investments, but financial sustainability is a key priority for our organization.
That's right. And Rotary is committed to diligent financial stewardship so we can continue to serve our members and the global community today, tomorrow, and for years to come.
Well said, Michelle. Through the collaboration of volunteers and staff, Rotary has built a culture of strong financial governance that has served us well. Whether it is by reporting monthly financial results, reviewing and improving a balanced budget, or providing transparency into our 5-year forecast, Rotary is dedicated to ensuring that our operations provide value to our members.
And 2020 will be an important year for Rotary as we begin supporting our new strategic plan.
Over the next 5 years, we will work to increase our impact, expand our reach, enhance participant engagement, and increase our ability to adapt. A strong financial outlook will help us to achieve our goals and ensure a strong future for Rotary, Michelle. Together, through our leadership, global staff, districts, clubs, and you, our members, Rotary connects the world.